The night wraps its dark cloak around a quiet neighborhood. One man, a seemingly ordinary figure, steps out from the shadows. In the light of day, he is just Dennis Rader, an average Joe living in the heartland of America. A loving father, a dedicated husband. His neighbors know him as the guy next door, a city worker who fixes problems, a church president who leads with conviction. His life on the surface is a picture of normalcy, painted with broad strokes of routine and responsibility. A family man, a civil servant, a religious leader, an ordinary life led by an ordinary man. But as the sun dips beyond the horizon, the veneer of normalcy begins to crack. The man who stepped out from the shadows isn't just Dennis Rader. Beneath the mundane exterior lurks a terrifying alter ego, a sinister double life that would shock and terrify those who think they know him. But as the sun sets, the facade shatters, revealing a chilling secret. The first cry of terror echoes through the silent night in 1974. In the heart of Wichita, Kansas, the first known crimes of the BTK Killer, the Otero family murders, shatter the tranquility of the suburban life. A chilling picture begins to form, revealing a monster in the midst. Joseph Otero, his wife Julie, and their two youngest children, Josephine and Joseph Jr., were found lifeless in their home, victims of a crime so heinous that it sent shockwaves through the community. The methodical nature of the killings hinted at a perpetrator who took pleasure in his gruesome acts, setting a chilling tone for the horrors yet to come. The killer had meticulously planned his attack, cutting the phone lines to ensure no calls for help could be made. He then proceeded to bind, torture, and kill his victims, a modus operandi that gave him his name, BTK, an acronym for Bind, Torture, Kill. Each murder was carried out with a cold, calculated precision that was as terrifying as it was bewildering. In the aftermath, the Otero family home became a grim tableau of the BTK Killer's terrifying debut. The victims were found bound with a type of knot known as a diamond knot, a detail that would later become a hallmark of the BTK Killer's crimes. This knot, often used in decorative lanyards, was an eerie testament to the killer's attention to detail and his twisted sense of aesthetics. The Otero family murders marked the beginning of a reign of terror that would grip Wichita for more than 3 decades. The community was left reeling, their sense of safety forever shattered by the horrifying realization that a predator was in their midst. The methodical, cold-blooded nature of these killings painted a chilling portrait of a man who found pleasure in the suffering of others. The BTK Killer was not just a murderer, he was a predator, a monster who reveled in his victims' fear and pain, and thus an era of dread took root. The predator had a name now, self-proclaimed and chilling to the bone. Dennis Rader, the man behind the terror, had taken to calling himself BTK, an abbreviation of his horrifying modus operandi: bind, torture, kill. This was not merely a name, it was a terrifying declaration of intent, an announcement of the unspeakable atrocities he committed. Rader's choice of the BTK moniker was not accidental. It was a calculated move, a vile attempt to convey his power and control. He used it in his communications with the police and the media, taunting them, basking in the fear he was able to instill. His need for attention was as insatiable as his need for control, a deadly combination that would result in a reign of terror that spanned decades. The BTK, a moniker that would instill fear in the hearts of many. This was not just a man. This was a monster hiding in plain sight, a chilling embodiment of evil. The years rolled on, and so did the horrifying acts. As the calendar pages turned, the chilling wave of terror instigated by Dennis Rader, the BTK Killer, only seemed to intensify. The city's heartbeat quickened with each passing day, its residents becoming unwilling players in a macabre game of cat and mouse. The mid-70s to the 80s marked a period of relentless dread. Rader's killing spree continued unabated, his methods evolving, growing more horrific with each passing incident. The once humble city was now a hunting ground for a predator, its streets echoing with whispered fears and unspoken nightmares. Rader wasn't just a murderer, he was a puppet master, orchestrating a symphony of terror that held the city in its vice-like grip. His modus operandi was consistent. He would break into a house, bind his victims, torture them, and then kill. The BTK moniker wasn't just a name, it was a chilling testament to his method of operation. But Rader's chilling acts didn't stop at the crime scene. He seemed to relish the fear he instilled in the city's residents, feeding off their terror. He began sending taunting letters to the police and local media, playing a twisted game of psychological warfare. Each letter was a macabre trophy, a grisly reminder of his deeds and a chilling promise of more to come. These letters were not just messages. They were declarations of war. They were Rader's way of saying he was still out there, still hunting, still killing. They served to remind the city that they were living under the shadow of a monster, forced to look over their shoulders, never knowing when or where the BTK killer would strike next. As the sun set each day, the city would hold its breath, waiting, wondering, fearing. Each night brought the possibility of another victim, another life snuffed out in the dark. The city lived in the shadow of a phantom, the BTK killer. But even the darkest shadows must eventually meet the light. The long, chilling saga of the BTK killer took a turn in the year 2005. The relentless pursuit of justice by the tireless investigators was beginning to bear fruit. They were closing in, tracing the shadow that had lurked in the heart of Wichita, Kansas, for far too long. The investigation was meticulous, painstaking. Every clue, no matter how minute, was examined under the microscope of scrutiny. The breakthrough came in the form of a floppy disk sent by the killer himself. It was a fatal mistake. Inside it, the police found a deleted file that led them to a local church. The president of the council was none other than Dennis Rader, a seemingly ordinary man leading an extraordinary double life. Rader, a city worker, a family man, and a president of a church council, was living a life of chilling duality. By day, he was just another face in the crowd. By night, he was the terror that had held Wichita in its icy grip for over 3 decades. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community. When confronted, Rader's confession was as chilling as his crimes. He detailed his deeds with a disturbing nonchalance, recounting each act of violence with a cold, clinical detachment. He showed no remorse, no guilt. Instead, he seemed to take a perverse pride in his actions, delighting in the fear and revulsion he had caused. The community reeled in the aftermath of his capture. Their neighbor, their friend, the man they had known and trusted, was the monster they had feared. The shock was palpable, the sense of betrayal deep. The reign of terror had ended, but the scars remained. The capture of Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, marked the end of a dark chapter in Wichita's history, but it also served as a chilling reminder of the hidden depths of human depravity, of the monsters that can lurk beneath the most ordinary of facades. The reign of terror had ended, but the scars remained. The tale of the BTK killer, a chilling reminder of the evil that can lurk beneath the ordinary. Dennis Rader, a seemingly normal man, a husband, a father, a church president, and a compliance officer, led a horrific double life that shocked the world. Behind the facade of normalcy, Rader was the BTK, a moniker he gave himself, standing for bind, torture, kill. His reign of terror spanned over 3 decades, claiming the lives of 10 innocent victims. Each murder was marked by a chilling ritualistic pattern, a dark testament to the depth of his depravity. Rader's crimes were not just acts of violence, but a perverse game of cat and mouse with the authorities. He taunted them with letters, detailing his heinous crimes, reveling in the fear and havoc he wreaked. This game, however, led to his downfall. A single mistake, a traceable floppy disk, brought an end to his killing spree. The capture of the BTK killer was a relief, but also a chilling revelation. The man behind the monstrous acts was not a stereotypical criminal, but an ordinary man, hidden in plain sight. It was a shocking reminder that monsters don't always lurk in the shadows. Sometimes they walk among us. The impact of Rader's crimes rippled through the community and the families of his victims. Lives were shattered, trust was broken, and a sense of security was lost. The families of the victims, though they found some solace in Rader's capture, were left with a lifetime of grief and loss. Today, the tale of the BTK killer serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can dwell within a seemingly ordinary human being. It's a stark warning that evil can wear the mask of the mundane, making us question our sense of safety and the people we think we know. A story that sends shivers down our spines, a testament to the darkness that can dwell within a human heart.